Songs of Somewhere Back. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Songs of Somewhere Back by Grantland Rice. Someday. I'm going home someday, if I can only find the pathway back. For I have come too far astray, a wanderer on a strange and alien track. I saw the world ahead and only meant to go a little way beyond, and then to seek the old-time highway of content, and live back home among my clan again. I'm going home someday. But every track I face is strange and new. God grant I have not wholly lost the way, but that, in seeking all the long years through, the mist shall lift and I shall find once more the path that leads me to the dreams of youth. The lanes of light, the life I knew before I left the old-time ways of faith and truth. I'm going home someday, so moves the dream of all the roving world. The seekers of far lands who've lost their way, God's countless aliens eye the current world from out the harbour, and by tempest tossed to unknown lands where they must ever roam. And this is all that makes life worth the cost, this endless dream, someday I'm going home. End of poem, read by Alamo Mapstone. Down in Sunny Tennessee by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Alamo Mapstone. Is the sunshine any brighter from the years that used to be? Is the moondrift any softer down in sunny Tennessee? Are the songbirds any sweeter as they warble to their mates? Are the mountains any higher than they are in other states? For you understand the feeling, if you ever had to roam, the sky is always bluer, and the old-time friends seem truer, when a fellow thinks of home. When the way I take is weary, through the shadow of the years, when the day has seen my sorrow, and the dark has known my fears, then I turn to you and whisper, oh, the night has grown so deep, where I thought fame's light was flaring, only ghosts and shadows creep. Can't you see I'm lonesome for you, where the way of fate is stark? Won't you call me home, oh mother, call your boy in from the dark? I can see the old lanes that wander, where the maples bend and sway. I can see your orchards waiting, where the children used to play. And they're full of dreams that beckon to a long-forgotten day. And when the day is over, and the summer's purple glow, your fields are faint with starlight from the dusks of long ago that a fellow used to know. I can see you now before me, from your mountains to your plains, through the glory of your sundrifts and the grey mists of your rains, where your moonlight's spilling silver, and your sunshine's dripping gold, and your twilight winds are singing of the fine brave days of old. Of the days when Jackson's courage gave the nation back its faith, when the Alamo called Crockett for his rifle and his Wreath, when Forrest led the stalwarts out the highway of the brave, and Morgan's mighty raiders rode to glory o'er the grave. Then the vision changes colour, where the softer dreams remain, of the lips as red as roses that are rinsed in April's rain, of eyes as blue as May deeps, where the violets are born, and voices that are softer than the summer winds at dawn, than the summer winds that whisper from the long and long ago, when a fellow starts to dreaming of a girl he used to know. Where the shadows drift and gather, there's a mist before my eyes, from fields of waving bluegrass and from still remembered skies, where vanished winds come singing through the fragrance of your loam, and the story of your glory, and the old song of home. The old song that echoes on the far winds of the night, that sings above the war drums and the tumult of the fight, that sweeps across the cities where the flags of triumph fly, and whispers in the twilight where the wounded wait to die. And the song of all the millions who have held one dream at bay, of a road beyond tomorrow that will lead back home some day. And when the road came calling to take my rag and pack, to face the way far leading that might not bring me back, I still held to the vision of dim old-fashioned lanes, through April's silver mornings and through grey October rains, and grander than all triumphs that ever come to men, a clan that waits with welcome when I come home again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Little Boy and a Dream by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox by Larry Thomas. The little boy smiled in his sleep that night as he wandered to Twilight Town, and his face lit up with a heavenly light through the shadows that drifted down. But he woke next morning with tear-stained eye in the light of the gray dawn's gleam, and out from the stillness we heard him cry, "I've lost my dream! My dream!" And he told us then in his childish way of the wonderful dream he'd known. He had wandered away from the land of play to the distant land of the grown. He had won his share of the fame and fight in the struggle and toil of men, and he sobbed and sighed in the breaking light, "I want my dream again." As the years passed by, the little boy grew, till he came to the land of the grown, and the dream of his early youth came true, the dream that he thought had flown. Yet once again he smiled in his sleep, smiled on to the gray dawn's gleam, when those nearby might have heard him weep, "I want my dream, my dream." For he dreamed of the yesterdays of youth and the smile on a mother's face, a hearth of old-time faith and truth in the light of an old home place. He had won his share of the fame and fight in the struggle and the toil of men, yet he sobbed and sighed in the breaking light, "I want my dream again." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Voices of the Night by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Thomas. Last night you called from some forgotten year. You spoke to me across the wall of night. Or was it but the wind that echoed near and whispered to me as it wheeled in flight? Wind of the night from pathways we had known before the journey called me forth alone? I know not only that last night as then I heard your voice again. Last night you sang to me the old song crept from out of the years and life's forgotten ways? Or was it that the tavern's music swept my heart and soul on back to other days, that carried me from out of the night of fears into the light of life's all golden years? I know not only that last night as then I heard you sing again. Last night you came to me and brought me rest from care and strife as in the days of yore. Or was it but the ashes of dead roses pressed between the leaves I turned to see once more? Ashes of roses from the days of gleam when life was more than ashes of a dream? I know not only that last night as then you came to me again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Triumvirate by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. When a touch of frost creeps in the air, and the north wind's roaring bugles blare, when the long gray evenings gather down from the hills that shadow the walled-in town, when the dripping eaves in a bleak refrain chant the wail of a winter's rain, oh, where is the poet left to sing a song of dream in the land of spring, a song of dream that may compare to a pipe, a book, and an easy chair, when the wild blasts howl and the shadows flit over the wall where the fire is lit, when the snow drifts deep and the driving rain sings its song at the window pane, when the dim world lies in the pit of night as the gray ghosts shriek in the mad gale's flight, oh, where is the poet left to praise the gleam and dream of the summer ways, the gleam and dream that may compare to a pipe, a book, and an easy chair? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In Life's April by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Mapstone. Here let the sunshine linger, the softest south winds stay, no shadow gather over life's little land of play. No sin nor sorrow reach them, no storm that rushes by, leave for the dreamers guarded there the echo of a sigh. Give them the breath of morning, when spring's first zephyr blows, to paint upon each pallid cheek the crimson of the rose. Wee lips as pink as starlight, bright eyes that see no pain, as tender as the violets, blue wet in April's rain. Give them to know life's music beyond the driving years, too young to know the meaning of heartaches and of tears. And when the twilight gathers by valley, hill, and stream, give them across the darkness God's sweetest dream to dream. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Uncle Remus by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Upon the death of Joel Chandler Harris. There's a shadow on the cotton patch. The blue has left the sky. The morning meadows echo with the south wind's saddened sigh, and the gold of all the sunshine in Dixie's turned to gray. But the roses and the violets shall hide his face away. The little boy is lonesome, and his eyes are filled with tears. Beyond the mists he only sees the shadows of the years. The light now lies behind him with his best friend gone away. But the softest winds in Dixie at his heart will kneel to pray. The people of the woodlands, the fur and feathered clan, the bear, the fox, the rabbit, will miss him more than man. But the rose that sways above him in his blossom-tinted tomb shall turn its crimson lips of love to kiss away the gloom. The shadows on the cotton patch, the light has left the sky. A world will bow in sorrow at his message of good-bye, and the gold of all the sunshine in Dixie's turned to gray. But the sweetest flowers of the South will hide his face away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Vanished Country by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Back in the vanished country, there's a cabin in a lane, across the yellow sunshine and the silver of the rain. A cabin summer shaded, where the maples whispered low, dream stories of the world winds that a fellow used to know. And it's queer that, turning gray, still a fellow looks away to a land he knows has vanished down the path of yesterday. Back in the vanished country there's an old-time swinging gate through the early dusk of summer where a girl had come to wait, and her hair was like the sundrift from the heart of summer skies, while the blue of God's wide heaven crowned the splendor of her eyes. And it's queer that, turning gray, still a fellow looks away to a girl he knows has vanished down the path of yesterday. Back in the vanished country there's a dream that used to be of fame within the city and a name beyond the sea, a dream of laurel wreathings that came singing through the light, the story of the glory of the victor in the fight. And it's queer that, worn and gray, still a fellow looks away to a dream he knows has vanished down the path of yesterday. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ghosts of the Alamo by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. There's the tramp of a ghost on the low wind tonight, an echo that drifts like a dream on its way. There's the blur of a spectre that leaves for the fight, grave risen at last from a long vanished day. There's the shout and the call of grim soul unto soul, as they rise one by one out of death's shadowed glen, to follow the bugle, the drum's muffled roll, where ghosts of the Alamo gather again. I hear Crockett's voice as he leaps from the dust and waits at the call for an answering hail, and Bowie caresses a blade red with rust as deep in the shadows he turns to the trail. Still lost in the darkness that covers their sleep, their bodies may rest in a sand-mounded den, but their spirits have come from the red starry steep, where ghosts of the Alamo gather again. You think they've forgotten because they have slept the day Santa Anna charged in with his slaves, where 5,000 men on a bare 100 swept and stormed the last rampart that stood for their graves. You think they've forgotten, but faint from afar, brave Travis is calling the roll of his men, and a voice answers here through the shadows that bar, where ghosts of the Alamo gather again. There's a flash on a blade, and you thought it a star. There's a light on the plain, and you thought it the moon. You thought the wind echoed that anthem of war, not knowing the lilt of an old border tune. Grey shade after shade stirred again unto breath. Grey phantom by phantom they charge down the glen, where souls hold a hate that is greater than death, where ghosts of the Alamo gather again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
At the Morning Gate by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Thomas. How hard the road may be for me, how rough the way that I must keep, how weary all the toil may be, means nothing, dear, though shadows creep. If you, old little dreamer there, now drifting under summer skies, with yellow sunshine in your hair and starlight in your shining eyes, shall only know the lane of light where God has kissed each shadow white. How far the song may drift me, who only hear the weary cry of sorrow's ceaseless threnody beneath a dim and starless sky, shall matter not if I but know, O little dreamer, that your feet shall follow where the south winds blow, love's blossoms that shall make life sweet, sweet through the years that wait for you, with every little dream come true. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Through the Smoke, Wreath by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Thomas. You'd think the years that stand between, the long gray years in endless passing, would leave but darkness on the scene of memory in backward passing. That fleeting time would take its rip across the rope of friendship's tether. Fair nights of happy comradeship, brave days of willing toil together. And yet across the board tonight, I see them once more holding session. Ralph Smith is banking at his right. Lane sits in heavy, faked depression. And Burke is kidding, drawing blind, 2 cards to flush and never failing. And where Camp holds 3 of a kind, I hear once more the echoes wailing. Where Saul and Marquis hold the board in jibe and jest, gay wit romances, where Goodwin cops the blue-stacked hoard and pikes it back in foolish chances, where Johnson calls and Harris shows across the old-time track again, beyond the night some lost wind blows, their vanished voices back again. Tobacco smoke that gathers thick, a line of steins around the table. Ah, but the dawn has come too quick, with light across the midnight's sable. Across time's sweep that dims and blurs, they meet no more, with fate to reckon. No more the pleading kitty purrs, save in a dream the pipe can beckon. You'd think the years would well wipe out such vanished scenes from life's lost places, that time would banish in its route the voices dim, the missing faces. The game is broken up, and yet there comes a splicing of the tether, when one through smoke wreaths won't forget to sometimes call the bunch together. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Somewhere Back by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Thomas. I knew a kid one day who looked beyond the wide orchard lanes of white to where a fellow held the laureled way of fame and name and fortune in the fight. A kid who heard life calling and who turned to catch the echo of far marching feet, where crimson fires of glory flashed and burned along the borders of the swarming street. I know a fellow now who looks across gray years with weary eyes beyond the laurel and the olive bough to old dreams beneath remembered skies. to fields of golden harvest and the glow of God's lost sunshine waning to the gleam of starlit dusk back home so long ago it only seems the phantom of a dream. I know a fellow who would give life's motley fame again to be in orchard drifts where lost winds wander through and whisper sighing from the bending tree, who dreams at each gray dusk within his den of old-time honor and old-fashioned truth, and cries to God to lead him back again and leave him with the clean, brave faith of youth. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Little Land of Morning by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by David Lawrence. O little land of morning, where they have a dream to cling to, there's many a dim eye turning through the mist and rain of tears, where they have a hope beyond them, and a brave youth faith to swing to, and a golden vision beckons out the highway of the years. Where the fable of the reindeer was a truth beyond denying, ere the gift god of the Northland had been turned into a wraith. O little land of morning, in what borders are you lying, where a weary heart may find you out the path of vanished faith? O little land of morning, are your highways barred forever to the many who have wandered through the arches of your gates? May the dreamers who have known you find your phantom portals never, or, in finding, no more enter by the gray, grim guarding fates. Must the dream forever linger in a dim and distant yearning, that can never gather closer to the dream we used to know? O little land of morning, can we find no backward turning through the shadows and the darkness to the dream of long ago? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Above the Darkness by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Thomas. Deep in the dusk, dear, the roses are sleeping. Down from the hills, dear, the low wind comes creeping. Creeping and whispering, dreamer, good night. Dream of the morning and God's world of light. Dream, O little one, dreams that are true. Dreams of the starlight, the dawn and the dew. Safe in your nest, dear, sleep, dear, and rest, dear. God in his heaven keeps watch over you. Over the world, dear, the twilight is falling. Low through the dusk, dear, the south wind comes calling, calling and whispering, God give you rest. God in his goodness keep guard by your nest. Dream, O little one, dream of the light. Dream of the morning that he shall kiss white. For while you sleep, dear, his care shall creep, dear, from the far skies to your cradle tonight. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Lost Goddess by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Mapstone. When the world is sweet with the breath of rose, and the white-thorn hedge is a wall of gleam, when an incense comes as the south wind blows, and the days move by in the drift of dream, when life is but half awake at best, and ghosts of the twilight hover near, and old longings stir the breast, and we turn to her and the yester-year. When tassel plumes of the cornland bend to drifting winds of a dreamy day, when drowsy birds in the maples send their songs of peace to the world away, when lanes are light with the morning's glow, and night with the silvery moon comes clear, There's a tug at the heart from the long ago, and we turn to her and the yester-year. A phantom from out of the old lost ways, from city and meadow, from streets or stream. A wraith from the vanished yesterdays, where the heart goes back to a summer's dream. We only know that the dream has passed, that the voice is lost where the night is near. But as long as the summer roses last, we turn to her and the yester-year. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wind of the Night by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Wind of the night of winter, blown from a starless track, whispering there in the darkness where the shadows whisper back. Why must you haunt my casement under the rain-wet eaves, with voices of ghosts forgotten in the rustle of withered leaves? Wind of the night of winter, calling to me as you creep, whispering there in the shadows where the dark of the night is deep, crying of days forgotten, sighing for dreams long sped. Why must you blow grey ghosts again from the graves of the vanished dead? And there is a voice in the shadows, a voice from a vanished day, a song from the heart of springtime blown from the fields of May. Clear as a woodland ripple from the roll of a silver stream, till the night is sweet with the music and the dark with an old, old dream. Wind of the night of winter, here I have come for rest, for peace in the gloom of my lonesome room, as a worn bird seeks its nest. Why must you haunt my casement under the rain-wet eaves, with voices of ghosts forgotten in the rustle of withered leaves? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When Summer Days Were Long by Grantland Rice, read for LibriVox.org. He'd nothing but his violin, I'd nothing but my song. Yet we were wed when skies were blue and summer days were long. In life's lost gardens through the years, the dreamer still seeks vanished ways that lead through heartache and through tears into the drift of yesterdays. To yesterdays when dreams came true, and two, apart from all the throng, meet once again when skies are blue and summer days are long. Once more he walks the old-time lanes, and in the dream that follows there, puts blood of roses in her veins, spins yellow sunshine for her hair. While growing shadows blur the view, he hears once more an old-time song. He only knows that skies are blue and summer days are long. Once more he drifts out from the fight, and leaves his place amid the game. Beyond the purple haze of night, he turns his burdened back on fame. In vain the future sings its due of glory with the brave and strong. He only cares that skies are blue and summer days are long. In life's dim garden, one by one, we seek again some vanished day that calls us, when our youth is done, across the fields of far away. Through grey lost years when dreams came true, and each one followed some old song, when life but knew that skies were blue and summer days were long. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The League of Once Upon a Time by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. Once upon a time I knew a freckled, barefoot fellow who knew life but as a summer's dream, a song that came from bird or stream, who knew the world but as a place, the yellow sunshine bathed in light, or where the rosebud showed its face amid the dew of morning bright, a place where morning held its prime, but that was once upon a time. And once upon a time I knew the same for little fellow who looked out upon the world with faith and endless hope, nor saw the wraith that loomed above him through the years, the wraith of dreams that wandered down the shadowed way of sighs and tears, and vanished in the far-off town. He saw the dream but in its prime, but that was once upon a time. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When Christmas Calls by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Christmas has called, and I want to go home. Christmas has whispered, and out through the night there's something which beckons to us who must roam far from the berries of scarlet and white. There's something which beckons, and out on the road we follow the way of a dream that is old, and weary the travel and heavy the load of those who may never turn back to the fold. I want to go back to the day where at dawn a tow-headed youngster rushed forth with a whoop to the clarion call of the little tin horn and the roll of the drum as it summoned its troop of the tin-soldiered legion, with muskets agleam, serried and straight in an unbroken row. I want to go back where a fellow can dream of Christmas like that in the long time ago. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sort of a Girl We Used to Know by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. To a friend who desires to know what type of book we might like for Christmas. This is a book that I want from you, where red romance comes slashing by, of a pirate ship with a cutthroat crew, led on by the mate with an evil eye, or an old-fashioned girl from the long ago, who isn't a chicken nor yet a queen, but the sort of a girl we used to know. Or have you forgotten the sort I mean? I want her 1,000 leagues away from a cabaret or a Broadway show, put back again in the fields of May, the sort of a girl we used to know, an old-fashioned sort that we can't forget when a lost dream moves through the night of fears, of apple blossoms and mignonette, blown once more from the rose-sweet years. I want a book for a winter night, when the long grey evenings gather down, where I can read of a slashing fight, or dream again of a country town, where the old-time maples sway and croon lost lullabies from the long ago, where I can dream of a vanished moon and the sort of a girl we used to know. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Song That's Out of Date by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Ainsley Day. Let's sing an old-time song again of good old-fashioned days. A song that leads us back again to life's long-vanished ways. Back where a cabin crowns the lane, and in the fading light of where a waiting mother calls her kitten from the night. Let's sing an old-time song again amid these ribald tunes of all the rose-sweet dreams that swept across the moon-red Junes. Of one who held an ancient sway beneath remembered skies, with apple blossoms in her drift and morning in her eyes. Let's sing an old-time melody of laughter or of tears, a song of simple sentiment from out the vanished years. A song that doesn't reek of slime, nor pitch its tone to laud the dance hall's drunken revelry, the red haunts of the bawd. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Poor Little Devil by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Thomas. Poor little devil, ragged in the street, on an endless journey out the way of weary feet, lonesome in the darkness, toiling in the light, one among the workers in the struggle and the fight. Little time to dream in, little less for play, never knows the meaning of a boyland holiday. Poor little devil, only wish that I knew a way to help him as he wanders by. Poor little devil, fighting it alone. Funny that he's whistling such a cheery tone. Little time to dream in, little time to play. Funny he keeps singing so blithely on the way. Queer he doesn't understand what a ragged trick life has turned upon him that he doesn't ever kick. Funny he is happier than so many seem, with a lot of time to play and loaf about and dream. Poor little fellow, only wish that I knew a way to help him as he whistles by. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Story of the Rose by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by James Kruk. She cut me loose from my swaying stem in the sweep of the silver dew. She took me away from my garden home and the old-time friends I knew. Away from the fold of my crimson clan, through a hallway dark and cool, where she buried my thirsty, drooping lips in the depths of a crystal pool. She brought me forth in the twilight's shade, with a smile as her red lips pressed against my own, and her eyes were bright as my head leaned to her breast. And together we wandered forth again, where the moon danced through the trees, and the breath of my clan came back to me on the drift of the twilight breeze. Our pathway led to the garden gate, when out through the moonlight clear, another came up the winding road with an old-time song of cheer. And side by side on the rustic bench they sat where the stars shone dim, and when he left for the road again, he took me away with him. He opened the dusty book one night where I had lain through the years, and his eyes, half closed in the lonesome room, looked down through the mist of tears. And he held me there till the gray dawn swept the shadow away with its gleams. Ashes of roses, I heard him say, ashes of roses and dreams. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Over the Ways by Grantland Rice. Read
for LibriVox.org
by claudiahmitchell. Where the birds and the blossoms used to wait, there with her at the morning gate, in the old, old days of the glow and gleam of love and light and a summer's dream, I wonder if ever she cares to know that over the years which have vanished so, someone still turns for a lonesome night to a rose-red dream in a land of light, that one still looks to the tryst of old by the rose-rimmed gate and the path of gold. I wonder if ever across the years, as the long days wane and the gray dusk nears, as in a glint from a purple sea the stardust drifts through the maple tree, I wonder if ever she thinks again of a dream that was, or might have been, when the world was sweet at the dream's day close, with the drift of bloom and the breath of rose. Do dead dreams rise at the dusk for her and call again of the days that were? End of poem.
This recording is in the public domain.
In Far Off Lands by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. In far off lands today, where lost paths run, a little boy looks up into God's sky, through apple blossoms swaying in the sun, that drift as summer south winds whisper by. And as he looks upon his face, there comes the light that only fame's white dream can yield. To him who hears far off the roll of drums, the silver bugle calling to the field. I watch him leave the happy fields he knew, the waving grasses and the wide kind sky, the harvest song that winds and echoes through lost summer days of sunshine drifting by, the paths of faith and honesty and truth, to follow through the mire of doubt and greed, and tangled ways that lead so far from youth, that send him forth to where his dream might lead. From far-off lands that hold their place, apart I see him take the grey trail of the years, struggling and stumbling, weary, sick at heart, groping in blindness through the night of fears, with outstretched hands that still reach for a dream that lures and leads and beckons, yet still keeps dim in the distance, as a light that streams beyond far vales where endless darkness creeps. Nearer and nearer, from the throng apart, I see him fighting blindly in the fray, with mighty pity surging through my heart, that one should be so far from off the way, so far from that dim dream youth left behind, with none to show the proper road to fare, until, with sudden start, I wake to find him who I pitied sitting in my chair. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lost Lanes by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by David Lawrence. It's morning in the fields again. The light is on the lane that winds out from the cabin to the drift of waving grain, and God's blue sky swings over the meadow and the moor, where the sweet breath of the clover ripples through the cabin door. But in the lonesome city the smoke has blurred the sky, and the south wind's only whisper is the echo of a sigh. The light is on the fields today. Above the grinding throng that crowds the city's borders drifts the plowman's morning song. The silver streams are singing where the gray rock-fretted rills re-echo from the valleys to the maples on the hills. But in the lonesome city the endless shadows creep, where the day of song is over and the weary come to weep. Far, far away, the fields today call back across the years, and we who hear look backward through the heavy mist of tears. We see the old road winding from the cabin in the lane across the land of morning to the drift of waving grain. But in the lonesome city a shadow blurs the sky, and the south wind's only whisper is the echo of a sigh. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Alien by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. They call him Alien, him who knew no tie to bind within one home, no place to rest beneath God's blue, but one who must forever roam. No light to beckon in the night, no voice to plead, to call him back, no long remembered lanes of light to wait when he might seek the track. They call him Alien, and he smiled as one who comes to know at last, to know that what far place beguiled was home for him till he had passed. They called him Alien, him who knew the way of every wind that roams, who wandering beneath God's blue held in his heart 1,000 homes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When Spring Comes Back by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org. When spring comes back, old dreams come too, across the starlight and the dew, from vanished years and distant ways, through many, many yesterdays. Dreams that in winter's sweep of snow we thought had passed forever by. But when the south wind whispers low, and God's blue gets back in the sky, where bud and bloom crown vale and hill, we find them waiting for us still. Sometimes they seek us in the breath from lilac bush along the lane. Sometimes they bring back life from death through some old song, some dim refrain, or yet a rosebud in the rain will beckon to our startled gaze, and back again by vanished ways we thread lost twilights to the dew of love's sweet morning that we knew in some far blossom-scented spring, when gypsy hearts went wandering. And then they come to us and wait at dusk beside the garden gate, and from the drifting shadows there they weave a well-remembered face, a red rose gathered in her hair, a smile that sweeps through time and space, and in the whisper of the trees a voice drifts back upon the breeze, as tender and as soft and sweet as winds that ripple through the wheat and stir again dead memories. They seek us in the morning sun, then follow still when day is done, in song or blossom or the mist of rain that gathers from the hills. Grey shadows beckon to the tryst that waits beyond rock-fretted rills, until, like vagabonds adrift, we wander back across the ways to seek again the vanished shift of life in love's dim yesterdays. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Septembers Ago by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Brian Gallegos. How many Septembers ago? Only the God of the dreamer may know. When out from the border of summer we came, where the bud and the blossom were wilting away, and the roses that crimsoned the wall in a flame were gray as the ashes of dead dreams are gray. When out from the border of summer we passed, and the dream of a dreamer was over at last. And summer will come with its starlight and dew, but never the summer of dream that we knew. For still on the night when the winds whisper low, and the gray ghosts of roses come down from the wall, there's an echo that comes as the faint breezes blow, in a voice from the silence where gray shadows fall. How many Septembers ago? Only the God of the dreamer may know. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
From the Long Road by Grantland Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. When I come home again, to ghosts and shadows of a vanished day, when I have seen old faces there, and when I've journeyed down some well-remembered way, the pathway to the river, and the lane which still holds dreams one life cannot forget, through purple dusks and aisles of April rain, and maybe someone who remembers yet. I wonder if the sun will seem as gold as I once knew it in the days gone by. I wonder if the paths I knew of old will wind beneath as deep and blue a sky as I once loved before I went away. Or if the songs of birds will seem as sweet, the bluebird's call, the catbird's roundelay, as when I wandered down the old home beat. When I come home again, back from the long, long road of toil and strife, where pallid faces haunt the ways of men, and brotherhood is war unto the knife, back to the blossom's canopy of gleam, where pink and white the tangled blooms lay curled before the wastrel winds had blown the dream that led me to the city of the world. I wonder when the twilight shadows fall, just as the moon has climbed the ancient hill, out by the gate where roses guard the wall. I wonder if I'll find you waiting still, remembering me the weary seasons through, with eyes aglow just as you waited then. I wonder if the joy will be yours too, when I come home again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of Songs of Somewhere Back by Grantland Rice.